Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Dr. Dinesh Pharma and welcome to the topic-wise insights of Medical Device Rules 2017, MDR 2017. Okay, as a part of UPSC Drugs Inspector Medical Devices training. Okay, so we are conducting this regular live, some certain topic-wise insights, regular classes of topic-wise insights of Medical Device Rules 2017 as prescribed in the syllabus of the UPSC CDSCO Drugs Inspector Medical Devices examination. Okay. So we have gone through certain insights. We are going through these topic-wise insights regularly, topic-wise. Okay, and so far we have covered chapter 1 and chapter 2, which were dealing about. We have already discussed this very clearly, and chapter 1 was about the short title and commencement and certain. So chapter 1, there are totally 12 chapters we have discussed, and we have completed the discussion of topic-wise insights of chapter 1 and 2, and now we are discussing with chapter 3, one more most important chapters. Okay, one of the most important chapters of MDR 2017, and some were posing questions. There were certain questions in in our channel. Okay, whoever, and before going to the further sections, I would like to let you know. So there were thank you for all the feedback what we have got regarding these classes and all. Yeah, thank you all very much for your personal feedbacks and the feedbacks which we are getting in the form of comments and all. And we noticed that there were less subscriptions compared to the views. So all the viewers who are viewing this, please subscribe. Okay, please subscribe to get regular updates and regular insights, and don't just view and leave it. Please do subscribe before you view. Okay, so it's free of cost. Okay, so whoever have not gone through the previous chapters, yes, please go through the previous chapters also. And coming to the one of the most important chapters of MDR 2017, chapter 3 is about the authorities, officers and the bodies concerned with the MDR 2017. Okay, and so certain parts of these also we have covered earlier. Okay, in chapter 3 we are covering from rules 8 to 17. Okay, rules 8 to 17 we are covering in chapter 3. Okay, so all these things we have to go through one on one. Okay, coming to rule 11, previously we have covered in the previous video, we have covered till rule 10, and coming to rule 11. Rule 11 is about the national accreditation body. So we stopped here. National accreditation body. So what is a national accreditation body? So we usually think, yeah, we have studied about the central licensing authority, state licensing authority. So all we have gone through so far is about the licensing authorities. Okay, so we know very well about the licensing authorities. So we usually, every one of us, we have a perception that, okay, whatever is dealt with in MDR 2017, whatever the activity or whether it is related to the manufacture, import, sale, distribution, stocking, whatever it is of the medical devices and which is covered under MDR 2017 is carried out only by the Central Licensing Authority, that is CDSCO or something like that. Okay, so but that is not the fact. Okay, so CDSCO, as we have discussed earlier, either the central or state licensing authorities, they delegate their powers to some of the organizations or some of the firms, okay, or some of the bodies which carry out certain activities which are related to the manufacture or sale or whatever it is. So what are the activities of different bodies we will go through. Okay, so this central and state licensing authorities, they are restricted, or they do conform to the licensing and regulation of the rules of the act, but not every activity is carried out. Okay, so what are the organizations or what are the bodies which carry out the respective other activities which are related to MDR 2017 we are going to see now. Okay, and what is that is nothing but the national accreditation bodies. What is a national accreditation body? Okay, this here, the national accreditation body, it is again appointed by the central government. Okay, these national accreditation bodies are nothing but they are appointed by the central government for the purpose of what is the purpose of the national, what is the primary purpose of this national accreditation body is to accredit or is to assess the functions or duties of a notified body again. Okay, it is not going to, the national accreditation body, as we assume, is not going to involve in the regulation of the rules. It is not going to involve in the regulation of the rules or with the licensing or with the supervision which is pertain to the medical devices, or it is not related to the inspection and the investigation of the medical devices as deemed by the MDR 2017. But what is it going to do? What is the function of this national accreditation body? Yes, national accreditation body, it is the name itself, as the name indicates, it is the accreditation body. What it does? It accredits. Okay, that means it certifies. It certifies certain bodies, it certifies certain organization or institutions. What does it certify? Does it certify a medical device? Does it certify the manufacture of a medical device or the import of a medical device? Again, not again. Okay, it certifies some of the organizations which are deemed to certify or inspect that medical devices, which are deemed to audit that particular medical devices. Okay, we will go through then we will understand. Okay, so national accreditation body, so simply keep in mind or please remember that it is not equal to CDSCO, and the national accreditation body is not going to take charge of the regulation and inspection of sites or of the medical devices, nothing like that. It is going to certify. What is it certifying? We will go. Come on, let's see. Okay, so what is it certifying? So what is the national accreditation body? First we will say, and then we will go through its functions. So this national accreditation body, we can't say there is a single national accreditation body for medical devices in India. No. Okay, for medical devices, for the accreditation of the notified bodies for medical devices in India, there is not a single national accreditation body as called here. Okay, as called NAB. Okay, National Accreditation Body. It is provided that the National Accreditation Board for Certification Bodies. Okay, it is known as the NABCB, also known as the NABCB. NABCB, it is not the singular authority, though it is deemed to be the authority, National Board of Certification, Accreditation Board for Certification Body, though it is deemed to be the organization, it is not the single organization. It works together. It was what all the bodies are involved. Yes, we will discuss just now. Okay, as registered by the Quality Council of India, as registered to the Quality Council of India under the Societies Registration Act of 1860. Yeah, please remember this is a very important question as to the MCQ's point of view, as to the examination point of view. Yes, we need to remember this. Also, national accreditation bodies, okay, are subjected under national accreditation bodies which accredit the notified bodies are subjected under which act? Okay, so we usually, whenever it comes to MDR and we discuss that act is something related to Drugs and Cosmetics Act, so we immediately jump to Drugs and Cosmetics Act. No, but coming to the National Accreditation Body, it is not completely related to MDR 2017. It is partly related to MDR 2017. Its functions are completely different. Okay, so it is registered under the Societies Registration Act 1860. Societies Registration Act 1860. Okay, by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Okay, so we usually deal with the Drugs and Cosmetics Act and the MDR 2017, which is under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Again, okay, which is under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, whereas this Rule 11, whereas this National Accreditation Body, it is under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Please try to note the differences, okay. So as India 2017 is one and only keen point from the pharmaceuticals. In this particular examination, so each and every point, each and every distinct point is keen to be noted. Okay, please note this. So according to the government of India, so what does it do? It accredits the notified bodies. Okay, the function of this national accreditation body is to accredit, or this is to certify or accredit the notified bodies. What is a notified body? Yes, we will get to know very soon. What is a notified body? The function of this national accreditation body is to accredit the notified body. Again, okay, not to accredit the medical device, please remember, or not to accredit a site. It is to accredit a notified body. Okay. So what it does, so just now as we have discussed, this national accreditation body for medical devices, only a single national accreditation body does not work. So what all function together? Okay, there is no single NAB for medical device. So what all function together? So there are a group of organizations that function together. Okay, and the groups of organizations are, the first one being the CDSCO. CDSCO deals to regulate the authorities. Okay, it is about the regulation. CDSCO which deals with the regulation. Okay, the other organizations are in, so this is for regulation of the medical devices, for certification and accreditation. Okay, for quality management. For the quality QMS is nothing but for quality management system and registration of medical devices. For the quality management system and for the registration of medical devices, we have certain other organizations like the ICMED. Okay, other organizations like the ICMED. ICMED is nothing but the Indian Certification for Medical Devices. Okay, Indian Certification for Medical Devices, exclusively Indian. Okay, it is the indigenous. According to MDR 2017, who is certifying who is the NAB? So who all are included in the national accreditation body? That means all these organizations can be the national accreditation bodies. Okay, the first one can be the CDSCO and the second one can be the ICMED. ICMED is nothing but the Indian Council for Medical Device Registration. Indian Council for Medical Device Registration. Okay, it is a joint initiative. It is a system actually. This Indian Council for Medical Device Registration, it is a scheme. It is a scheme or system which is a joint initiative. By the Quality Control of India and AIMED. Which is given by the Quality Control of India and AIMED again. Okay, here what are the organizations which are functioning together? Here we are discussing what is a national accreditation body and how it functions for MDR within India. Okay, for MDR 2017, who all are functioning as a national accreditation body we are discussing here. Out of that, the first one will be the CDSCO. Again, okay, the primary authority will be the CDSCO who deals with it is the national regulatory authority. It is the regulatory authority. And coming to the quality management and registration systems, who is taking care of the quality management and registration is nothing but this ICMED. ICMED is nothing but the Indian Council for Medical Device Registration. Just now we have discussed about the quality management and registration. Okay, so this is the scheme. This ICMED is a scheme which is a combination which is given by the joint initiative by the Quality Control of India and AIMED. AIMED is nothing but Association of Medical Devices in India. Okay, AIMED is nothing but the Association of Medical Devices in India. Okay, so what is the function? What all are they doing? All these CDSCO, ICMED, QCI and AIMED, they are together functioning as the national accreditation bodies here. In India, for the accreditation of the medical devices or for the notification of the notified bodies, for the registration of notified bodies, all these are functioning together. All these organizations, they are functioning together. So what are they going to do? Functioning together, what is their motive? What is the motive behind this? Okay. Okay, the motive of this national accreditation body or the motive of all these organizations together is nothing but aligning India. It is nothing but to align Indian medical devices. Okay, it is nothing but to alignment of the Indian medical devices with that of the international standards. Why these are all functioning together? Why this national accreditation body, and what are their primary functions? Okay, their primary function is to align Indian medical devices with that of the international standards. Okay, that is the primary motive behind functioning together of all these organizations, of the CDSCO, of the ICMED, AIMED and QCA, all of them function together in order to align Indian medical devices with that of the international standards. With international standards, and the common ISO standards for the medical devices will be with the international ISO standards, that is ISO 13845. Sorry, 485. Okay, yeah, it is nothing but the ISO 13485 is the common international standard, common ISO standard for medical devices in India. Okay, to align this Indian medical devices with that of this international standard, that is nothing but the ISO 13485. Please also remember this. ISO 13485 is the international standard for the medical devices. Okay. So, and to enhance their market strategies, this is the function of these national accreditation bodies. Okay. So, this is the So, what is the just now we have discussed, this is about the national accreditation body in brief. Okay, so national accreditation bodies, just now as we have discussed, it is not a single body. As the name indicates, it is not a single body, it is a group. It is a group of bodies which function together, like that of the CDSCO, ICMED, AIMED, QCA, all of these, they function together. They function together to establish or to align Indian medical devices to the international standards, and the common international standard for the medical devices is nothing but the ISO 13485. Okay, so these national accreditation bodies, what they do usually, okay, they require, okay, they have a number of competent persons who have to aid this purpose, okay, who have to aid all the purposes, whatever the functions they are meant to be. And so what they have to do, this national accreditation body, what are they doing? They are carrying out the assessment of entities who apply for the accreditation to become a notified body. Okay, we are discussing continuously about a notified body, and what is a notified body? Yes, we will immediately go through what is a notified body too. Okay, it is also one of the most important parts of the MDR 2017. So please remember, accreditation body and a notified body are not one and the same. They are completely different. These notified bodies are certified by the accreditation bodies. Please remember, notified bodies are certified or registered by the national accreditation bodies. Okay, so this carries out the assessment. So whoever the organization which applies for to be deemed to function as a notified body is accredited or assessed. The functions of these activities, notified bodies, are assessed by that of the national accreditation body. Yeah, nothing to get confused out of this. So please remember that this national accreditation body is not a notified body, and what does it do? It assesses the activities of the notified body. It assesses and accredits the activities of the notified body. That's it. And what are the international standards and what are the bodies involved? Yeah, please remember, just now as I have mentioned, the international standards which are pertain to medical devices is nothing but the ISO 13485, very, very important. And what all the bodies are included, just now we have discussed. Please go through once again. Yeah. Okay, so it carries out all these, all the activities. So whenever an organization or a firm or a body which applies to be deemed as a notified body, so then what it does, it carries out the assessment of the entity, and if that entity or if that particular organization is not suitable, okay, if it does not satisfy all the requirements as given by this list of organizations under the national accreditation body, what are the list of organizations and what are the list of rules that are set by this national accreditation body, if they are not found to follow them, if they are not found to be in accordance with this NAB, yeah, then it disqualifies. NAB, what it does, it has every right to disqualify that particular notified body. Okay, so this is about the national accreditation body. Yeah, so this is how the certification is done. Okay, just as a part of example. So this is how a certification is done. Okay, with respect to their particular. We see when the certification of registration or when the certification of accreditation is given by any notified by this national accreditation body, it is not complete. Okay, it is so this accreditation is related only to the scope of the work. Okay, it is restricted to the scope of the work. It is not every notified body can perform every action. So please remember, here the national accreditation body, it provides accreditation to the notified body in such a way that it pertains to its deemed activities. It pertains to it restricts to its deemed activities. So we can see here just now as I have mentioned, it is nothing but ISO 13485, the quality management system standard. The ISO system for medical device management, medical device quality management is nothing but ISO 13485, very, very important. Please remember this. Okay, so the scope, it is restricted to the scope of that particular organization. See, some of the organizations, they are restricted. The scope is the supply, installation of medical equipment and training. Okay, for some of the organizations, you can see here the scope of certification. The scope of certification is also very important. So what an NAB does, the NAB checks about the scope of certification. NAB has the duty or function to check the scope of certification, what this particular organization need to do, what is it related to. So whether it is related to manufacture, export, supply of orthopedic implants, instruments and accessories as given here. Okay, as in some other certificate, it is about the design, supply, installation of the medical equipment and training, nursing equipment and training. Okay, so as it varies, as the scope varies from organization to organization. Okay, so we can see that here by this example, we can see that the manufacturing or whatever the functional scope varies from organization to organization. So the duty or the function of the NAB or the national accreditation body is to assess the scope of that particular organization, whether it is restricting to the scope of that particular, whatever the mentioned scope, whether it is restricting to the mentioned scope or not. Okay, and it also accredits that this particular organization is restricted to this particular scope. Okay, they can't go beyond that. Okay, here as it is mentioned, it is a manufacturer, exporter, supplier of orthopedic implants and so on. Okay, and the same organization, it can't go for the manufacture or export or import of some other kind of medical device. Okay, some nursing equipment, something like that. They can't go for that particular organization, that particular scope again. Okay, so the restriction of scope and this assessment is done by the national accreditation body. The actual function of national accreditation body is this. Okay. Yeah, and very importantly, the national accreditation body, it shall not act as a notified body. Very, very important. I just mentioned national accreditation body and notified body are not one and the same. They are completely different. National accreditation body is different and notified body is different. National accreditation body, it functions to certify or accredit or assess the notified body. Okay, what a notified body does then, we will see. Yeah. So, the That was rule 11 about the national accreditation body. What all is about the national accreditation body. Coming to rule 12 is the functions of a national accreditation body. Just now, as we have gone through all the functions, just now we have seen what it does. So what it does? It lays down the conformity assessment activities. It lays down the conformity. Just now we have discussed about the conformity assessment and the scope of a notified body. To define the scope of a notified body. Okay, to define the scope of a notified body and to see that it is conforming to that particular scope. Thus conforming to the assessment of that notified bodies and to lay down the standards. For such accreditation. Okay, all the standards are given by the National Accreditation Body itself, NAB itself. Okay, and also prepare norms and procedures. Okay, one and the same, all are one. And audit a notified body. So what are they going to audit? Please remember, auditing of a manufacturing site. Okay, audit of a manufacturing site, very important and the most expected thing. Audit of a manufacturing site of a medical device is carried out by A. CDSCO, B. National Accreditation Body, C. Notified Body, and D. All of the above. Audit of a manufacturing site of a device, medical device, is carried out by. Okay, so as it is mentioned here something about audit. So we usually go for it may be a CDSCO or something. No, but the audit of the manufacturing site is done by the notified body and the audit of the notified body is performed by the National Accreditation Body. Please remember, please don't get confused. Okay, not all the audits are same. Please go through the question. When a question appears in the examination, please recheck the question once or twice. Please try to recheck the question, revalidate the question within the limited time span only. Okay, you have a limited time span, yes, even I know that, but try to read the question properly, try to reanalyze the question. Okay, so just now as I have mentioned, the audit of the manufacturing site of a medical device is carried out by a notified body, not by the National Accreditation Body, but whereas the audit of notified body is carried out by the National Accreditation Body. Okay, so please remember, not all, whenever we see the term audit, don't be carried away. Just go through what kind of an audit it is. Okay, so yeah, that was about an accreditation, National Accreditation Body. Rule 11 and 12, they deal with the National Accreditation Body and its functions. Coming to Rule 13, it is about the notified body. Very important part of MDR 2017 again, very important part of chapter 3 is the notified body. As we have discussed, the risk classification system is very important part of chapter 2. Okay, and the definitions are very important part again of chapter 1. In the same way, notified body is one of the most important and crucial parts. Important and crucial parts of chapter 3 again. So what is a notified body? Okay, anything which any institute or organization or a body which is called as a notified body. Okay, a notified body is nothing but which applies to the National Accreditation Body. Okay, which applies to the National Accreditation Body is known as, okay, for the notification, after notification, which forwards or which submits the application to the National Accreditation Body is known as a notified body. What is a notified body? And so what are the functions we will see? Okay, so what a notified body does? It is any institute or any corporate body, any organization first which is submitting, okay, which is seeking accreditation, which is seeking some registration, which is seeking some accreditation from as application to the National Accreditation Body is known as a notified body. So what all a notified body does? We will go through. Okay, so see this is on one of the ELT corporate. Just now we have seen any body or any firm or any organization which So it is a notified body of medical device certification. This is one of the notified bodies of medical device certification. So what it does, now we will see what it does. We have seen that it submits application or which applies to the national accreditation body for accreditation. That is notified body. So what a notified body does? What is a notified body actually? Okay, once it is accredited, this notified body, what is accreditation? Some kind of registration. Okay, accreditation is nothing but some kind of certification or registration, a kind of registration. Okay, so once a notified body is accredited or registered, what it does? It does the audit of the manufacturing sites. Just now we have discussed. Okay, the audit of manufacturing site is carried out by a notified body. That's what we have discussed just now here. Okay, what it does? It does the audit of the manufacturing sites of class A and B medical devices. Very, very important. Okay, the manufacturing sites of the class A and B medical devices. So class A is, as we have discussed, class A is the low risk medical device and class B will be the low to moderate risk medical devices. Okay, these two types of medical devices, the manufacturing sites of these two class A and class B medical devices, the audit of these manufacturing sites is carried out by this notified bodies, is carried out by this particular notified bodies. Okay, why? To verify their conformance or compliance with the quality management systems. Just now we have seen about the quality management systems, their certification and registration and everything. So this notified body, it verifies the compliance of these manufacturing sites. Verifies the compliance of the manufacturing sites of class A and B medical devices with that of the quality management system standards. Okay, that is the function of a notified body. That is how a notified body should work. Okay, so they all work in par with that of the central licensing authority. Okay, just now we have discussed, central licensing authority can't everywhere go and audit and go and check everything, right? Central licensing authority is pertain to, or it is perturbed to what it has to do. It has to go with the licensing regulation. So it has to delegate certain powers. Some of its powers or some of its functions to certain organizations. And this notified body is one such organization. Is one of such organizations which carries out the audit of the manufacturing sites of the class A and B medical devices, especially of the class A and B medical devices. Okay, as advised by the state licensing authority according to rule 13(2), rule 13 sub rule 2. So whatever the medical devices has to be whatever the certification and registration of medical devices has to be certified. Okay, their audit is carried out by the notified bodies according to state licensing authority given by the state as per the orders of the state licensing authorities. Yeah, in rule 13(3) is also one and the same sub rule 13(3), sorry. Yeah, 13(3) is also one and the same, but according to 13 sub rule 3, the audit of the manufacturing sites of same class and A and B devices is carried out as per the regulations of central licensing authority. If it is in accordance with that of the regulations of state licensing authority, it is 13(2). If it is in accordance with that of the functions or regulations of central licensing authority, it is 13(3). Okay, just a small difference. But the devices are one and the same. The devices are one and the same, and function is also one and the same. Nothing but the audit of the manufacturing sites of class A and class B devices. Okay, so this is how the manufacturing license for class A and B devices is. So I just gave this to explain the function of a notified body, to explain the duty of a notified body. So what it does, a manufacturer applies to a license. Okay, so what is the duty exactly of a notified body? I just wanted to explain in detail. That's what we have gone with this. So whenever a manufacturer applies for a license to the state FDA, okay, so we know that we have discussed earlier also that class A and class B medical devices can be certified or can be registered by means of state licensing authorities. Whereas coming to class C and class D medical devices, they have to be certified or they have to be registered only under the registration or licensing should be done only by the central licensing authority. But the registration or licensing of class A and B medical devices can be done by the state regulatory state licensing authority also. This we have discussed earlier. Again, if someone doesn't remember, please remember this is very, very important. The licensing, the registration and licensing of anything, any device which is related to class A and class B medical devices can be done by the state licensing authority. But whereas the licensing or regulation of class C and D medical devices should be done only by the central licensing authority. Okay, so this also we will come across in forms further. Okay, so once a manufacturer has applied to the state regulatory authority, okay, state SLA for registration for the manufacturing license or for registration of their organization, for the manufacturing of their license of their organization, what a state FDA does, what this state licensing authority does, it assigns this duty to the notified body. It assigns the duty. What is the duty that is assigned to the notified body? That is first to audit this manufacturing license and audit the site of the manufacturing license. The inspection will be done by the officers again. Okay, the inspection of the site is not the duty of notified body, but the audit of the manufacturing site is the function of this notified body. Okay, so they work in coordination. This state licensing authority, this state licensing authority and notified body, they work in coordination to for the grant of manufacturing license for class A and B devices. They act in coordination with each other, these notified bodies and these state licensing authorities. Okay, so this is the function. To explain the function of a notified body, and we are going with this. Okay, so this is for C and D devices. Okay, again, so coming to the notice, so what exactly happens? So what exactly is related to this notified body? Okay, so we have just understood the function of a notified body, what a notified body does and what is its function, what is its duty. Just now we have gone through. So according to MDR 2017 again, according to MDR 2000 again, from the 1st of July 2017, this notified bodies, the regulations with respect to the notified bodies has come into effect from 1st July 2017. Okay, we all know that this has come into force. The complete act has come into force from 1st of January 2018. Okay, 1st January 2018. But the functions of the notified body were given with effect from 1st of July 2017. The activities or the functions of notified bodies have been given with effect from 1st July 2017. Okay, so what it does, it can make an application from 1st July 2017. Any organization which works or which intends to function as a notified body, any organization or any company, any firm which intends or which wishes to function as a notified body, it has to make an application to the central licensing authority. It has to make its respective application to the central licensing authority for registration in form MD1. Very, 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 very important again. Please remember, very, very important. This application for notified body, for registration as a notified body is made under form MD1. Okay, the application for the registration as a notified body. So we are seeing that Notified body, we have seen what is its function. Okay, but to be notified or registered as a notified body, this particular organization, okay, any particular organization or any firm, it has to make application to the Central Licensing Authority for this particular registration in Form MD1. Okay, in Form MD1. Form MD1, it deals with, okay, we all know it deals with the application of any organization to be registered as a notified body. To be registered as a notified body. Application to be registered as a notified body is done in Form MD1. Okay, to the online portal. Okay, accompanied with a fee specified in the second schedule. Accompanied with a fee specified. What is that fee specified in the second schedule? Okay, so we will just go through what it is. Okay, so any organization or any firm or any company, if it wishes to be a notified body, if it wants to be registered as a notified body, what it has to do? It has to submit an application. It has to make an application to whom? To the central. It can't directly apply to the National Accreditation Body. Okay, what it does? It applies to the Central Licensing Authority. Central Licensing Authority then gives this work. Okay, assigns this accreditation work to the National Accreditation Body. Okay, then it deems this work to the National Accreditation Body. It assigns the work to the National Accreditation Body. The application has to be made to the Central Licensing Authority only. But Central Licensing Authority does not perform all the activities related to this. Okay, this accreditation is done by NAB, but application has to be done to the CLA, to the Central Licensing Authority in Form MD1. Okay, in Form MD1 with a particular fee of 25,000 rupees. Okay, with a fee of 25,000 because this is in rupees. Okay, not all fee are in rupee. Okay, whenever we come across these forms and all, we usually think that it is forms and it is in MDR is pertaining to India, so it is rupees. Okay, see at some places, especially where the forms are related to imports, the fee is also in dollars. Okay, sometimes it is in dollars and euros and all. So please remember, please make a note of all the fee also. All the fees are mentioned in the second schedule. Okay, so according to the second schedule, the fee for the registration, fee for application to registration as for a notified body is amount. It has to pay the fee of rupees 25,000 rupees, and with all the necessary documents. With all the necessary documents as specified in part 1 of the third schedule. With all the necessary documents. Okay, so what all documents are required also we will see. Just a moment. So how a notified body can be notified? How a notified body can be registered is nothing but by making an application in Form MD1 to the Central Licensing Authority. The application to be made in Form MD1 with a fee of rupees 25,000 along with certain documents. Like along with certain documents like the constitution of the notified body, like who all are present in that particular notified body, like the constitution of the notified body and their business profile, the organization profile and the business profile, their organization business profile and the activities that they do with relation to this accreditation, and the activities with relation to medical devices, what the activities they perform with relation to this medical devices, what are they going to do, like manufacture or import or whatever it may be, kind of. Okay, to be notified as a notified body. So what is their expertise? Okay, the expertise related to the activities with related to medical devices manufacturing. Okay, and the accreditation certificate, very, very important. And the accreditation certificate by the National Accreditation Body. The accreditation certificate by the National Accreditation Body and the undertaking and certain undertaking. So with all these documents, so For an organization or a firm to be notified as a notified body, what it has to do? It has to submit an application in form MD1 with a fee of 25,000 rupees with all these necessary documents. With all these kind of necessary documents. In this way, the application has to be made to the Central Licensing Authority. Application has to be made to the Central Licensing Authority. Okay, so the Central Licensing Authority, what it does, when it is satisfied, okay, once it is satisfied with all these things, so it feels, yes, so this notified body, it has submitted all the documents and properly submitted the form 1 and properly paid the respective fee which is concerned with that of this application, everything is satisfied, then then the Central Licensing Authority, what it does, it registers this. It gives the certificate. It gives the certificate of registration. Okay, and this certificate of registration is given in form MD2. This certificate of registration is given in form MD2. Please remember, very, very important. Please remember, form 1 is the application. Application for registration as a notified body. Registration as notified body, whereas form 2 is the grant of license, grant of certificate. Okay, form 2 is nothing but the grant of certificate of registration as a notified body, as to a particular organization as a notified body. This is form 1 and 2. Okay, so the difference is application and grant of certificate, certificate of registration. Okay. Yeah, so this registration certificate, so what about this registration certificate? What is its validity and all? Okay, the validity of the registration certificate of a notified body is even very, very important examination point of view. Okay, the validity of this registration certificate is 5 years from its date of issue. Okay, please remember, it looks size, as I already said, this detailing is because it looks very clumsy. It is always present. Okay, all this is available, but it is very clumsy. Where can you find out? Where can we find all these things? Okay, it's very complex, right? So this registration certificate which is given in form 2, whatever the registration certificate has been provided by the Central Licensing Authority has a validity, has a proper validity, perpetual validity of this notified body certificate is 5 years from the date of issue. It is 5 years from its date of issue. Okay. So, unless and until, please remember, it is 5 years from the date of its issue, unless and until it is suspended or cancelled. Unless and until it is suspended or cancelled. Okay, so what is the action point after this 5 years? What they need to do? What is after 5 years? Do they need to apply again? Do they need to apply again for the registration as a notified body? No need, not needed actually. What they need to do is, if the certificate holder, if they wish to, okay, if the notified body certificate holder, if they wish to continue this registration, what they need to do, they have to deposit a registration retention fee. Okay, what they need to do, they have to pay a registration retention fee. Okay, the registration retention fee is again rupees 25,000. Okay, the fee for the registration retention of a notified body. The registration retention fee of a notified body is again rupees 25,000. Okay, no need of making a special application again in form 1. No, that is not needed. That is not needed. They need to deposit they have to go for the registration retention fee. It is a kind of renewal. Okay, it is a kind of renewal. So we go on renewal for many of the certificates, like many things, many certificates. They need to be renewed and registered again, re-registered, right? So in the same way, this is kind of renewal. Renewal is in the form of registration retention fee that has to be rupees 25,000 after 5 years. The validity, the perpetual validity of this notified body registration certificate is 5 years from the date of issue. Please remember, the validity is 5 years. Yeah. Okay. So if this registration holder, if the certificate holder, if they fail to provide the registration certificate, okay, if they don't wish to continue, or if they do not before the due date, okay, before this 5 years, whatever from the date of issue, if they do not renew, if they do not go for renewal before the due date, okay, then what they have to do, they have to, in addition to the retention fee is 25,000, just now we have discussed. Yeah, the retention fee is 25,000. So in addition to this 25,000, they have to pay a late fee. Okay, a late fee which is 2% of this, 2% of 25,000. Okay, the late fee is nothing but, let me write below. Okay, 2% of 25,000 for every month which is late. Okay, for every late month. Okay, so if the certificate registration or renewal, if the renewal has not been performed before the due date that is within the 5 years of the date of issue, if the renewal has not been done, then what they have to do, they have to pay a late fee of 2% in addition to 25,000, 2% of 25,000 for every month has to be paid every month. Okay. Yeah. So even if it is not paid, even in the non-payment of such fee, yes, the registration certificate will be cancelled. The registration certificate will be cancelled or suspended. If this procedure is not properly followed, yeah, then the registration certificate shall stand cancelled. Okay. So all the functions of notified body are mentioned in part 2 of the third schedule again. Okay, in part 1 of the third schedule, or the documentation which is required. See, even in the third schedule here, we have discussed about the documentation part. Okay, the third schedule, the part 1 of third schedule, it deals with the documentation required for a notified body. Documents that are required for the registration of notified body. And part 2 of the third schedule, it mentions about the functions of the notified body. About the functions of the notified body. In third schedule, the first is about the documentation required for the registration of notified body, and part 2 is about the functions of a notified body. What all functions a notified body has to perform. Okay. Yes, and the central licensing authority wherever if it is not able to provide any documents, if it has undergone any failure, or if there is any issue with that of this notified body, is the central licensing authority, according to Rule 13 subclause 10. According to Rule 13 subclause 10, this central licensing authority has every right to cancel or reject the application that is made by this notified body. So whenever an organization applies for the registration as a notified body, the central licensing authority, according to Rule 13 subclause 10, it has every right, after verification, it has a right to reject the application or cancel or reject the application of this notified body. Okay, then what the notified body does? Okay, the applicant, again, according to Rule 1311, this notified body, the applicant who stands as a notified body, then they can go approach the central government. Okay, so then they can go and approach the central government within 45 days of their rejection. Okay, once the rejection is given, once the format of rejection is given in a written format, this rejection is also given in a written format. Once this rejection is properly given, then what happens? This notified body who has been rejected, then they can approach the central government within 45 days from the rejection date. Okay, from when they have received the rejection, they can approach the central government within 45 days after the receipt of such rejection, and after proper inquiry. Okay, after proper inquiry, only this central government can cancel the rejection or can forward the rejection. Okay, this central government has every right to forward or cancel the rejection also after going through or after detailed examination of this application. Okay, so this is about a notified body. Okay, so this is about a notified body. So we can understand now what is the role of a notified body, how important this notified body is with respect to this MDR 2017. Okay, notified body, it functions to audit the manufacturing sites, especially its function is the auditing the manufacturing sites and also the submission of all these findings to the central licensing authority. So not only auditing of the manufacturing sites of class A and B medical devices. Then submission of all these findings properly in a documented format to the central licensing authority, and so this plays a key role. Whether that particular license can be given to that manufacturing site or not. Okay, so it is a very important organization or a body in playing a key role in deciding whether that particular license can be granted to that manufacturing site or not. Okay, so out of this, we can discuss one more very important point here. So we are discussing what is a notified body and all. So how many notified bodies there are registered so far under the central licensing authority? Under this CDSCO, so far, how many notified bodies are registered? Yes. This is not under MDR 2017 again. Okay, so on the whole, till date, as per the data by the CDSCO, as per the data from the Central Licensing Authority, there are a total of 14 notified bodies. 14. Okay, totally 14 notified bodies. Till date, there are 14 notified bodies functioning with respect to the CDSCO, with respect to MDR 2017, with respect to the Central Licensing Authority. As on date, there are a total of 14 notified bodies which are functioning in relation to the Central Licensing Authority. Okay. So this is the list of this particular notified bodies. There are a total of, here only 13 are mentioned, the 14th one is recently added. Okay, the latest one. So totally there are a total of 14 notified bodies, 14 bodies or 14 organizations which are functioning as notified bodies in relation to or in par with the Central Licensing Authority so far. Okay, so this is about the notified national accreditation body and notified body. So now we can understand what is a national accreditation body and what is a notified body. So notified body, what it is doing? It deems to carry out the auditing of this manufacturing sites and submission of the reports and all those things. Okay, so what is the function of a national accreditation body? It is over this. It is over this notified body. So what it is doing? It has to assess whether this notified body is following all these regulations or not. Okay, the accreditation has to be given by the Central Licensing Authority, by the National Accreditation Body, by checking it is assessment of notified body is performed by the National Accreditation Body. Assessment of manufacturing sites is performed by the notified body, and assessment of notified body is again performed by the National Accreditation Body. So both are not one and the same. National Accreditation Body and Notified Body. Please remember the difference between the National Accreditation Body and Notified Body. When a question occurs or appears in the examination, please try to assess this. Assess the difference and then go for answering the question. Okay. The take home message is there are a total of 14 notified bodies in relation to the CDSCO MDR 2017. Okay. So that's all for today, and we will go with the functions. And so, what are the functions of the notified body, and what is the fee that has to be paid by this particular, not notified body, by the organizations to the collected by the notified body. Okay, the fee paid by the notified body we studied today. The fee collected by the notified body, and what are the functions of notified body, how it agrees or functions in agreement with the central licensing authority and with that of the manufacturers, how it acts as a bridge between both. Okay, all these things we will study in our next session, upcoming sessions. Till then, keep watching, and so do like, do subscribe, and do give out your valuable comments. Yes, definitely your valuable comments. Yeah, they really mean a lot, and so they help us improve. So before leaving this session, so please do not forget to like, comment, share, and very importantly, subscribe our channel for regular updates, not only regarding MDA 2017, all the pharma related updates. Yeah, please stay tuned, please subscribe, and we will get together again in the next session.